I'm Megan Krantz, and this is a story about how racial reconciliation matters to the church. It was January of 2020, and the rise of COVID was slowly making a lot of people paranoid. I remember being acutely aware of every updated symptom and keeping an eye and ear on sights and sounds around me. I remember interacting with a woman who was of Asian descent, and I noticed her coughing. Immediately, I was like, "How long have you had that cough, and is it dry?" To which she replied, honestly, "Yeah, it's dry, and probably for a few weeks." I told her with total panic it could be COVID. You need to get checked out ASAP, and I explained the current symptoms and continued to tell her she might have COVID to the point that she was frozen in the face. And then I just moved along. What I didn't realize was from that interaction how hurt she felt from my behavior. She confronted me weeks later, COVID-free, and I could tell she was nervous, but I was still clueless about what. She told me that my words were very hurtful because, being Asian, she was already on edge with all the hate mustered up through the social media and groups blaming China and targeting Asian people for this virus. It was as honest and sincere as one could get about their lived experience, but I was not receptive. I was instead defensive. Instead of telling her I was sorry and taking responsibility for hurting her feelings, which, whether I meant to or not, I reverted to the whole, "Oh, I'm sorry you felt that way," and continued to explain that I was asking everyone I knew with a cough the same question, and it wasn't a racist thing at all. Whether or not I was intentionally racist didn't matter though. I targeted her, I triggered her, and I hurt her. That was a miss. I was even upset that she took so long to tell me and used that as another gaslighting tactic. Months later, I started dating my now husband, and I found myself in another situation where I said something hurtful and he confronted me on it, and I again used those empty, useless words, "Well, I'm sorry you feel that way." To which he told me, "That's not a real apology, Megan." The following hour, he broke down, "The point of an apology is ownership. When you hurt someone, that's something you must own wholeheartedly, despite your intentions. Not deflect, not ignore. You own it." So this became a new practice for me. I took time to really reflect on my actions, especially with this girl, and how I needed to make things right the next time I saw her. The lesson was so convicting that I almost felt like it was a "I need to do this before I die" type of feeling or ultimatum. So God granted me that opportunity this last summer. I saw her, I pulled her aside, and I gave her the proper apology she deserved. I told her that she was sharing a hurt that I caused, and that hurt was not validated or acknowledged. I made sure to own that I was the one who caused the hurt, and that my response was mostly gaslighting and deflecting. She was of course gracious and received my apology, which I was relieved, but even if she didn't, she still deserved that apology. So yeah, that's been a huge lesson for me these last couple years. Taking ownership when someone expresses hurt, even if it didn't mean to be hurtful. It's extremely humbling, extremely loving, extremely healing, and ultimately, I think, helps enact the type of heaven on earth we all long to see. Issues surrounding racism and racial privilege can feel unfamiliar, confusing, and when confronted, we can have the same reaction that I did with this woman: defensiveness, gaslighting, and a lack of ownership. Jesus offers us all a better way. As James says, "Be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." We have to listen before we can heal. Instead of silencing, ignoring, or downplaying the pain coming from communities of color in our country and in our church, we must listen first, empathize first, and stop trying to rewrite their narratives to suit ours.